Today, we're tackling something really fundamental to your digital safety, but often kinda ignored. Your home Wi-Fi router.
That's right. It really is the main gateway, isn't it? The digital front door to everything you do online.
Exactly. And like any front door, if the lock's weak, you're exposed. We're digging into an article today, Router Security, how to protect your Wi-Fi network from hackers.
And it really stresses how important this is, especially now. I mean, think about the rise in cyber threats. Even here in Canada, things are definitely getting more serious.
Yeah, that statistic the article mentioned was pretty stark. Over 70% of small businesses reported cyber incidents in 2023.
And okay, that's businesses,
Yeah.
but it shows the trend, right? Home networks are often, well, easier targets.
So our mission here is pretty clear. Cut through the jargon and pull out the really essential, actionable steps from this article. Stuff you can actually do to lock down your network.
No super technical deep dives needed, just the practical basics that make a huge difference.
Because of the risks of not doing it. Well, the article lays them out. Hackers getting your banking info, passwords, reading private messages,
Scary stuff. Or even installing malware like ransomware onto your devices.
or hijacking your internet for, illegal activities. They even mention accessing smart cameras. It's a lot.
It really is. And the kicker, the article points out that most people never actually check their router settings. Just set it up and forget it.
Which is exactly what hackers hope for. So let's change that. Step one, according to the article, is maybe the most obvious, but also the most critical.
Changing those default login details.
Right. Why is that the absolute first thing?
Well, because it's the path of least resistance for attackers. The article makes it clear. Routers ship with standard usernames, like admin maybe.
Yeah, or just leave it blank sometimes.
Right. And predictable passwords, like password or admin again.
Uh-huh.
Hackers have lists, huge databases of all these defaults for every router model imaginable. So if you haven't changed yours.
You've basically left the key under the mat.
Exactly. A publicly listed key under the mat. It's the easiest way in.
Okay, so how do we actually fix that? What are the steps?
First, you need to get into your router settings page, the admin panel. The article mentions you usually do this by typing an IP address into your browser.
Like 192.168.1.1.
That's a really common one, yeah. Or maybe 192.168.0.1. It varies a bit by manufacturer.
And if those don't work?
A quick check of the router manual or the maker's website will tell you the right address.
Okay, so we're at the login screen. What next?
You're looking for the admin username and password settings. This isn't your Wi-Fi password, mind you. This is the password for the router itself.
Got it.
And you need to swap out those defaults for something strong and, really importantly, unique.
Strong meaning.
Long, complex. Mix it up, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols. Don't make it guessable.
And the article adds a good tip here about storing that new password.
Oh, yeah, use a password manager. It'll create a super strong one and remember it for you so you don't have to write it on a sticky note next to the router.
Definitely don't do that.
Please don't. And one more pro tip from the article. Remote administration.
Ah, yes. Tell us about that.
If your router has a feature to let you manage settings from outside your home network, the article strongly suggests turning it off unless you absolutely specifically need it.
Because it's another potential door for attackers.
Precisely. Closing unnecessary doors is always good practice. So disable remote admin if you can find that setting.
Okay, solid first step. Change the admin login. What's step two? The article talks about firmware.
Right, firmware updates. This is another one people often skip.
Yeah, it sounds technical. What is firmware really and why update it?
Think of it as the router's internal software, its operating system. Manufacturers find security flaws, vulnerabilities in that software all the time. Firmware updates are the patches that fix those holes. The article uses a good analogy. Ignoring updates is like knowing your door lock is broken and just not fixing it.
Leaving yourself vulnerable. So how do you update?
Usually, back in that same admin panel, there'll be a section like firmware update or maybe under system tools or administration.
And you just click check for updates or something similar.
Pretty much. And the article makes a great point. If your router offers automatic updates, definitely turn that on.
Ah, set it and forget it, but in a good way this time.
Exactly. It takes a task off your plate and keeps you protected without you having to remember.
What about older routers, though? Does the article mention an age limit?
It does suggest that if your router is, say, more than 5 years old, you should really think about upgrading.
Why is that?
Older hardware might not support the latest security protocols, and manufacturers eventually stop releasing firmware updates for older models. So you could be stuck with known, unfixable vulnerabilities.
That makes sense. Security tech moves fast.
It really does. And the article actually gives a concrete example of why updates matter. The crack attack.
Oh, I remember hearing about that. That was pretty widespread, wasn't it?
Huge. Back in 2017.
Yeah.
It basically let attackers nearby potentially read Wi-Fi traffic, even if it was password protected, exploiting a flaw in the WPA2 protocol itself.
Wow.
And the fix: firmware updates. But loads of routers stayed vulnerable simply because people didn't apply the patch. The perfect illustration of why keeping that firmware current is just non-negotiable.
Okay, point taken. Firmware updates are essential. So we've got secure login, updated firmware. What's the third pillar the article focuses on?
Encryption. Specifically, the encryption used for your actual Wi-Fi signal, the one your phone and laptop connect to.
Right, scrambling the data so eavesdroppers can't read it.
Exactly, and the article is very clear. You need strong encryption. Old standards are basically useless now.
Like WEP? I think I've seen that option.
Yeah, WEP is ancient history in security terms. WPA, the original one, is also pretty weak. The article basically says using WEP or WPA is like shouting your secrets across a crowded room. They're easily cracked.
So what should we be using?
The gold standard right now is WPA3. If your router and your devices support it, the article says absolutely enable that in the wireless security settings.
And if WPA3 isn't an option, maybe older devices?
Then WPA2, specifically WPA2 AES, is the next best thing and still considered secure for most home users. Just make absolutely sure it's not WEP or the original WPA.
Okay, WPA3 if possible. WPA2 is a fallback, found in the wireless settings section of the admin panel.
Correct. And tied directly to this is the Wi-Fi password itself, your network key.
It needs to be strong too, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. The article recommends at least 12 characters, ideally more. And again, mix it all up, upper, lower, numbers, symbols. Make it hard to guess or brute force.
Brute force being just trying tons of combinations.
Yep, automated software trying millions of passwords a second. A long, complex password makes that much, much harder.
The article also mentions hiding the network name, the SSID. Is that worthwhile?
The article presents it as maybe a very minor hurdle for casual snoops, but not real security. Hiding the SSID doesn't stop anyone determined. They have tools to find hidden networks easily.
So maybe don't rely on that as a main defense.
Definitely not. Focus on WPA3, WPA2, and a strong password. That's where the real protection is.
Got it. And there's one more warning sign the article flags, something called WPS.
Right, Wi-Fi protected setup. That's the feature that often uses a PIN or a push button on the router to connect devices supposedly easily.
Convenient.
Maybe, but the article strongly advises against it. WPS has known security flaws, especially the PIN method, that can let attackers bypass your strong password and get onto your network.
Ouch. So the advice is?
Turn it off. Disable WPS entirely in your router settings. The convenience isn't worth the risk it introduces.
Okay, that seems like a clear set of actions. Let's maybe recap those top 3 things from the article's checklist.
Good idea. So number 1, change the default admin username and password for the router itself. Make it strong and unique.
Number 2,
keep that router firmware updated. Enable auto updates if you can, and consider replacing routers older than about 5 years.
and number 3,
Use strong Wi-Fi encryption, WPA3 ideally, or WPA2 minimum. Use a very strong Wi-Fi password, and definitely disable WPS.
right. And the article notes this is just sort of the first layer. It mentions things like guest networks, firewalls, more advanced stuff for potentially another time.
Yeah, food for future thought perhaps.
Yeah.
But these first 3 are the big ones for locking things down initially.
Absolutely. And that quote the article uses really sums it up. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
So true in cybersecurity. Taking these steps now can prevent a world of hurt later.
It really can. You're significantly hardening that digital front door we talked about.
So we've covered changing defaults, updating firmware, strengthening encryption. Pretty straightforward actions that make a big difference against common threats.
They really do. It's about closing those easy entry points. Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. When was the last time you actually looked at your router settings? Do you know if you're still using the default admin password? Is your Wi-Fi running on WPA3 or something weaker?
Maybe take 5 minutes after this. Just check. It's a quick win for your security.
And it makes you wonder, what other digital front doors in your life might need a quick security checkup? Something to think about.